My most memorable event of ministry has to be my calling. It took place in my pastor's study following a Bible study. I was one of the last ones to leave, and my pastor said, "Well, hold up and I'll go with you." And I stood at the corner of his desk and I said, "I have been so restless lately and I don't know what's going on." And he said, "Well, I wouldn't be surprised if God wasn't calling you to the ministry." And in that moment, I felt like I was standing on a high place, looking down, but I was not afraid, even though I am afraid of heights. And I heard around me a voice, all around me and within me, that said, "I am." And then it faded away, and I looked down, and there was a pile of books that had fallen on the floor, and my pastor was looking at me strangely. And I said, "Why did you say that?" And he said, "I don't know, but I think you need to read this." And he turned to his bookshelf and went right to the little paperback book, The Christian as Minister. So I took it home, I read it, I made a list of reasons not to go into the ministry. And by 3 a.m., God had moved all of the reasons not to the column of reasons to go into the ministry.
One very sacred moment came in a hospital visit 8 years back. I was called to the bedside of a 97-year-old member of the church, Eunice Odom. She had been unresponsive for most of the day. And after a prayer, her daughter and I started to recite the 23rd Psalm. Eunice quickly joined in and even moved ahead of us, as we may have stumbled trying to remember the words. But her voice was clear and her words were sure as she knew them by heart. Her faith was ingrained in who she was. She knew whose she was. Just a few moments later, she went quietly to be in the presence of God. As a pastor, it is an honor and a blessing to be a vessel to provide grace and mercy in such sacred moments.
But one of the things I have learned in my ministry is I go visit people so I can get to know them. Jason Stewart, he was in the hospital, and his mother's a member at my church, so I went up there to visit with him. And he just felt like there wasn't a lot of reason. He didn't have a lot of fight in him. And so I went to offer him hope and love and the forgiveness of Jesus Christ in his life, because we're all worthy of what Jesus did for us, even though we don't feel like it. And so I talked about my life a little bit with him, and then it helped to boost his desire to live. And so he got a transplant 6 years ago. He tells everybody I saved his life, but it wasn't me. It was Jesus Christ. And he said he felt the closest to God during the transplant surgery. But really my greatest thing is that God would let me serve for him.
I recall the first many years of my ministry, I found myself feeling like I was a really strong believer, that I believed deeply and fully in God. And I could tell you all the things about God from seminary and from studying and from classes and intellectual considerations and discussions and input from each other. I could tell you all about God, for my belief was strong from the neck up. Yet I didn't know that I could be such a strong believer and an agnostic at the same time, because it is very much a different thing to believe in something and to know that thing personally. And so in the depth of a hard season of my life, I actually found myself needing and yearning to know God in my life as a power, as a caring, loving, benevolent presence that would just want my life to go well and take care of me and love me. And so I called out for that God and found that God to be there, ready to be known and to be intimate with. And in doing that and witnessing to that and living that, I believe people want to hear from you weekly, regularly, for what they know that they want. A God that is loving and personal and known by them as well.
So, all right, you young buckaroos and buckarooettes who are coming in to be ordained, thank you for your service. Thank you for jumping in this cauldron of unknown. Man, you guys are brave. And I kind of made a little list for you. The first of all is just have a life. Have a life. Get a life. So many of y'all have poured all of yourselves, all of your focus into books and schools and studies, and you're just ready to put your own self on the cross. Stop that. Take care of yourself. Get a life. Get a life of friends outside the church. Go and make friends who don't do church like you do church. Have fun with them and play with them. The second I would say is be an advocate for yourself.
Pay attention to your soul, to refill your cup. In ministry, so often we get focused on our doing and we forget about our being. The general rules, attending to the ordinances of God, staying in love with God, doing no harm and doing good, being able to take Sabbath and make that a priority, to care for your health and mental health, and also pay attention to your relationships, loving God and loving neighbor. You can't get better than that. And your closest neighbor is your loved ones. Pay attention to your family, your loved ones, and prioritize those relationships. Hard to do in practice, but it is important for a long and fruitful ministry. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon.
And then lastly, I would say, get out of the office. Go to people's homes. Go to where people work. Go to where they do what they do. Whether that's admiring the tomatoes they're growing, or the car repair shop, or the hair they're cutting. Go and just be with them. You be authentic, they will be authentic, and I promise you that will serve you and them for the rest of your ministry.
My mentor pastor, retired minister of the United Methodist Church, told me, Levi, in ministry, you will have more challenges, problems, and demands of your time. But remember, it is a rewarding and a very wholesome ministry because you will meet wonderful people, all kinds of people, young and old. You will meet generous, loving, and caring people, but also you will meet people who are difficult to work with. But always remember, he said, love the people, love the people, love them all, for that is the way of Christ.